Hey, Paulie, good morning. You hear me?
Hey, good morning.
Hey, man. I know Dale is here. He's trying to get on the webinar. I think he has some problems with his sound. I'm not 100% sure, but hopefully shouldn't be too long. And maybe Blake
Oh, I'm
is
here
around as
too.
well. Hello,
Yep, I'm
Blake.
here. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's up with Dale. He's trying to get in. I don't. It's interesting. I'm looking at the staff, and I see the it's yeah somehow not working. Huh.
We can see his screen, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, you know what? I have a feeling, Paula, you might have to jump off. Hold on. Let me. I'm gonna go ahead and make myself presenter. See, let's see what happens if Polly, if you jump off.
Okay.
Okay, Coach, can you hear us? Is that you, Polly?
I think he's restarting it.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
okay.
Paul is out. Paul is out. So
Yeah,
hopefully should be here in a minute. How you doing, Blake? Is it like 2 a.m. or something there?
it's five,
Oh,
five.
wow.
Although I've been up since like 3-ish, but yeah, yeah. Mondays are always the toughest days for me.
Yeah.
I get pretty tired at the end of the week, but Monday mornings never really help. Coach,
Hi, Blake.
hey,
How are
he's
you?
back.
Hey, hey,
Hey,
hey.
Hey.
here I am. I thought that my GoToMeeting had double pneumonia for a little while.
All right.
But all the congestion has is gone, and God, is it great to be back with the team.
That's
That's
great. I,
all.
I actually passed you the screen, so we can
Uh,
let you
that's
do your.
probably what happened here. Well, anyway, great to be back. Hello, Warriors, everyone, team. Let's have a great fall trading season.
By the way, I cannot see your screen.
I'm getting ready to do
Oh,
that.
okay. I'm gonna let you monologue it. How about that?
Sure. I have
All
a few
right.
things to say. So let's see here. You guys still can't see my screen, can you?
I could
No
just
one's
a moment ago.
No.
click start.
There we go.
Okay. Did everyone see the dollar index up there?
Got it. Got it.
Okay, everyone. Hi, Paulie. Great job. You've been doing. I see all the work you're doing, not just talking for 1 hour and breaking everything down for our community, but all the written research and everything you're doing. Really a great addition to the team. Hi, everybody. I want to thank everyone for the well wishes and nice notes that you gave me while I was gone. It definitely proves when you're on your back that pips don't mean as much unless you have your health. So, take care of yourself so you could be here for all these excellent moves that have been occurring. And, from at least, even when you're not feeling well, you're still watching things. And I was watching the team and, some outstanding trading going on by the team. I was very impressed. I just noticed this by Andre. Andre has really been in the zone and up 3.85 on DAX. But what I was really also impressed with last week was on the close pattern of plays that both Blake and Andre caught the bottom of Euro Pound, because a few weeks ago we were all trading it from the short side at the 91 area successfully a few times. Blake was in and out of EG a few times, and we're getting a little bit of a pullback here after that huge day on Theresa May saying that we have, we'll go with no deal. She was being pretty tough that day, and the pound collapsed. And I think there's an opportunity that's probably good for more than one day move where we've retraced about 38% so far of that pretty big move to the upside. I view these breaks as buying opportunities, and a lot of people know. I just want to take you back out to the weekly that as long as last week's low holds and look at where the low came in right on the 50-week moving average, we can start clearing 90 again. I'm still looking for an attack up here at 90, and I think there's a good chance that it'll be achieved as long as last week's lows hold by the November fear date of, you know, having to get something done in the UK and EU about Brexit. So I would use all fib retracements, maybe scale in and risk last week's lows for a continuation move. But great trading, Andre and Blake and the whole team. And also want to remind people that we have only 1 week left of our once a year promo where we offer these kinds of prices. Just want to show, go back to home so you guys could see it before it runs out. You have another 5 days to make up your mind, but I would make up your mind right now because we're in this fall trading season, and I do expect between midterms and now Pompeo is pounding the war tom-toms with Iran, and President Trump's going to make probably a very bellicose speech at the UN. Plus, the Chinese said, you know, we're not going to talk to you at least till after the midterms. So there are a lot of fundamental pots on top of the proverbial market oven that are bubbling. And you need to have this whole team working for you during this season on all of your devices. You know, Blake always talks about in its week ahead video, you know, make sure you have it, the phone app, so you could have it with you so that when areas get breached or new pattern in place come up, you're there, you're ready to go. So want to encourage people during this trading season in the fall before things get quiet again, you know, after Thanksgiving through New Year's, to make the most out of it. I think there's going to be some moves that, you know, only happen a few times a year. I've heard Blake talk about it, you know, that maybe during the year there might be 4 very clean, solid moves that he sees it, and when he sees it, he you know, puts the pedal to the metal, because, you know, one of these moves can make a year or make a quarter, and I think there's going to at least be one of them between what's happening in currencies and the outside markets that we cover. Also, something else I'd like to put out there to the public is our sponsor, Forest Park. I know a lot of people that come in here are professionals. They're not just individual traders. In fact, they, you know, have their own signal services or their IBs. And I recently sent an introducing broker prospect to Trent, and he's found a great solution for them. They have their own crypto platform. And if you're an IB, you know, I would talk to Trent and Justin about, you know, your clearing rate and what kind of deal you have with your broker, and they can not only help individuals with finding the right place to be, but they could also help you structure, or if you're considering getting into the business and having your own introducing broker. Again, 2 great guys to talk to. So just a couple of things that I'm paying attention to. Of course, we have the Fed, and thinking that, you know, maybe the market's going to front run into the Fed. I am looking for some type of high to develop here in the yen between here and 113. I am a little contrarian to like the what was said on the look of the week ahead. I kind of believe that, you know, this might just be kind of a head fake that we have in yields up here. We're headed towards new highs in yields up here around 308. I think 320 is going to be hard to achieve. And I think the possibility is that if there is any risk off, that yields peak between here and 316. One of the reasons I think, and I've been, you know, had to sit through a lot of aggravating moves against me, that there's potential for risk off is what's happening with the Russell hasn't made a new high. That's last week's action. This is the daily. The 7280 level was penetrated a little bit. We're just moving sideways, but, you know, it's a long time at a breakout area. You know, markets usually aren't that kind to you to give you a month to recommit to a breakout, to commit to a breakout. Here was a breakout. Oh, okay, you missed the breakout. Here's another chance. Oh, you missed it? Hey, here's another chance. I tell you what, you're really slow on the trigger. So Mr. Russell's going to let you buy the breakout again and buy the breakout again and buy the breakout again. So this breakout to me is somewhat suspect for that reason. And the other reason, even though the Dow and the S&Ps have been stronger than dirt, is we've had a couple of lower highs in NASDAQ. And to me, it looks like we have a descending triangle setting up here. So last week, while S&Ps were making new highs and the Dow was finally taking out the high from early last year, all we did was retrace after a big down day Monday back to, you know, unchanged on the week, and closes under 74 are going to look pretty ugly arithmetically, just measures about 71. So that has me a little cautious about looking for sharply higher rates. In fact, I can remember the last Fed meeting, there's usually some good fades on the Fed. So, I mean, everyone knows what the Fed's going to do. I guess not everyone knows what the Fed's going to say, because Powell definitely had his dove wings on at Jackson Hole. So we'll see if maybe he had a testosterone shot before this Fed meeting and sounds a little more hawkish. I remember interviewing Danielle Martino, and she said he was different than Yellen and Bernanke, and that, you know, there wasn't going to be a Powell put, but a Powell call. So that meant that he was going to be more tolerant to valuations and equity prices correcting to the downside. So we'll see about that. But to me, this looks like as long as we're under last week's high, we take that out, then, you know, we could go 7,900 in NASDAQ 100. But even look at some of the components, you know, stocks that everyone has loved forever, and some of them don't look so great. Amazon hasn't made a new high. Jeff Bezos probably should have stayed in his closet, but he started to come out, and there's Amazon, you know, barely holding this 50-day moving average. Apple having its big event. Apple, one of the darlings, it's been leading it all the way and looking a little heavy to me. A lot of descending triangles or ABCs, so we'll know this week. Also, the semiconductors, NVIDIA's been the star. It's come off quite a bit, and Microsoft, which has been another one, looks like it may have peaked last week. So be careful with tech stocks here. They seem to be, they're the most inflated. So, you know, when you have a balloon, the ones with the most air in it have the most air that could come out when you have a correction. So that could be what's happening with this rotation here. So I think it's do or die for metals this week as well. So we'll see what happens with gold. If gold is, say, trading around 1180 and people are selling gold off into the Fed, that may be the time. I thought that there would be one more wave left in gold here, and we're rallying a little bit here today. And, you know, it's just been sideways, sideways, sideways. I don't know, maybe we're just going to break out. But if they try and sell the gold off to 1181 and we have something like this, I think it's a shot after the Fed. So I'm looking to react to the markets after the Fed. Maybe yields peak on that and the yen peaks on that, and it sets up, I'm kind of thinking that it's going to be a fade dollar strength, that people are going to, you know, sell things off because of higher rates. It's going to maybe push the dollar up for a little bit. But really, like EG, I noticed in our weekly newsletter, as a company, we're still real bullish and have acknowledged the strength that we have in crude. And to me, the oil looks like it has one more drive, right? I mean, look at this right here. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. Pompeo is, there could be some hawkish things. So, I think we're going to 76. So some ideas to chew on. It's great to be back and talking markets with everyone and be up before the rooster today. So I'm rooting for everyone, okay? Whether you're a subscriber or you just come here for free, I'm rooting for everyone here to have one of their best fall trading seasons. Just want you to have the edge by having, a great team. And, it's not just the trading talent. I, can give you a testimony that all the team, the whole team, the owners were saying, Dale, take your time. No rush for you to get back. I'm not sure if it's because, they were finding out they didn't really need me, or they just wanted me to get better and not rush back and then relapse. But so these are the kind of people that, besides being talented, care about you. Okay, so they're always giving their best. Our goal is not to have the most subscribers, but to have the most successful community on the internet in trading, FX, and other outside markets. So great to be back with everyone. And Blake, looking forward to hearing you. I listened to your week ahead and some great points. Your week ahead videos are kind of like you shared tomorrow's newspaper today. So yeah, nice preparation for the whole, FX community out there on Twitter and everywhere else with your week ahead videos.
Well, thank you. It's one of those things that, obviously I don't know what's going to happen as the market opens, and it was a little tricky going into the weekend because we had China canceling trade talks with the U.S. So I wasn't sure how the dollar was going to respond, and actually the euro, pushed higher. It was actually going lower as I had thought, and when I got up this morning, I'm like, well, what's the euro doing up here? But we had a strong IFO number. So the German IFO number came in good, and so I'll take it over from here. And so the euro pushed back towards the 38% retracement. Now this is and by the way, I shorted the euro this morning at 68, so I've been short for the last couple of hours as we push back up here, and we were just moments ago just trading over 70, and
could be a failing rally up here, buddy.
Well, it's at least between now and Wednesday, I'm not really too worried about it.
Isn't it? That's the key, isn't it? Wednesday, yeah.
It is, and it's going to be tough for me to be long dollars going into Wednesday, knowing that you got your FOMC. Yes, they're going to raise rates. Question is, are they going to be hawkish, or is Powell going to be a little bit more dovish? I mean, it's hard to ignore that the risks associated with the economy regarding the trade war is not there, and it's hard to imagine that they're not going to say anything regarding cite any of that potential risk, and that's where the real question is going to come in on Wednesday. It's like, okay, well, we're going to probably highlight the risk and to what extent, and that's why I could be long the dollar right now. I've got a couple of days to really pre-position myself, but I'm not sure if I short the euro right now. I mean, technically I would have to see like the euro, for whatever reason, we'd have to drop right back below 117 for me to actually even think about staying short the euro dollar going into the FOMC. And then the question is how aggressive would I want to be, even if I was profitable? I don't know, and I'm not sure how the dollar is going to respond. And as I'd mentioned in the video that I filmed over the weekend, you got gold and silver that are also pretty questionable too. It's like those, when I say that, I mean they look like they're trying to base, and they look like they're going to try to rally, and if they do rally and precious metals do go higher, does it take the dollar down, or is it a move that runs tandem with the dollar? And I'm not too sure, and I'm not sure if I really want to take on risk, because I ultimately I do, if I just remove everything and and just think about, like, from a technical perspective, I actually do think that gold and silver are basing here, and I do think they're going to go higher. So I do think that gold's going, and I'm not long gold and I'm not long silver. Okay. I actually got out of them Thursday or Friday morning, I guess, whenever they failed. Like I got out of silver, fortunately, when it was up here, like 1430. I was long at like 1430, and it broke out to 1440, and then when it was coming back down to 32, I got out of it, and I feel fortunate that I got out of it when I did. But I still think that it's basing here, and I still think it looks like it wants to go higher. And so that prevents me right now from being too aggressively long the dollar, because if gold goes higher, silver goes higher, then that's probably going to.
Silver actually started to outperform gold late last week. The break in gold was much more severe than silver.
Yeah, and so you gotta watch that correlation too. The silver gold relationship. If silver really starts to outperform gold, then that's typically more bullish for precious metals. So, but the flip side is I am actually long dollars. I bought dollar Canadian on Friday. I do think that we're we've got this double bottom. We're near the channel support. There's a high risk that Canada is going to be left out in the cold. No pun intended. Oh yeah, I guess pun intended. No, I could say pun intended. It's left out. Get it, cold winter Canada. Anyway, I was thinking that there's a good chance that we can bottom here in the dollar Canadian, but that would be more NAFTA related versus dollar related. But the euro, I think that there's very manageable risk if you want to be short here. If you want to be short the euro dollar where we're currently at, I mean, your risk is above at 118. And that's pretty simple, right? It's a 38% retracement on a longer term basis, and it popped up here, so I'm like, well, I could take a small shot at it. I don't want to get too aggressive and too comfortable being short the euro unless we get back below 117.20. And even overnight, we tested that. I mean, this was actually a really important test and hold overnight when we held 117.20. And so as long as we remain above that, it's hard to be super aggressively short the euro, but it's tricky. It's not easy. And the cable's up this morning because there's still a potential chance that a Brexit deal might get done by November, and some officials from the UK say that it's still possible, even though they think that the Chequers plan might be dead. The pound's up on potential optimism about a Brexit deal getting done. I'm not trading the cable right now. I'm not sure what to do with it. I was long the euro pound last week with Andre, got limited out of that really quick. I mean, it moved up fast, but now I'm not sure what to do with the cable at these prices. I mean, we've bounced pretty aggressively overnight, but now when you get up and you see this, the question is, what do? You don't want to chase it higher at the same time as it was such a strong move. Do you really want to fade it? It's questionable. But the Aussie is weak, and you would expect the Aussie to be weak. As I look at the Nasdaq. Dale, you pointed out, and I'm not sure if you're still listening in. Okay, you pointed out the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is really underperforming at this point, and if you look at like here's the Nasdaq, the rejection. We actually may even have a little bit of a double top here. But the Nasdaq isn't making new highs, as the S&P is making new highs. So we got the S&P making new all-time highs. Nasdaq's now not following suit, and that's your leadership in the equity market. So with the Nasdaq underperforming, the Aussie, really rejected this trend line here, and with the Chinese U.S. trade war escalating. The Aussie is underperforming right now. Bottom line is we rejected some pretty key resistance at 73 cents. So you have to be careful being long the Aussie, and you can see even it's underperforming. Even as the euro bounced and the cable bounced, the Aussie bounce is very tepid. Same with the Kiwi. Kiwi's same type of things. So and overall, like the ranges have been pretty tight overnight. I mean, if you look at the euro dollar, well, that's the cable. But if you look at the euro, I mean, the euro's only had a 50 pip trading range so far today, and that's after having good news regarding IFO. The dollar yen has had a pretty tight trading range, 30 pip trading range thus far, and so. I am watching the dollar yen, because if the dollar yen gets below 112.40, that's going to signal to me that maybe this market is a little bit more risk averse if we drop below there. So considering it's been such a tight trading range, I don't want to get overly excited about anything at this moment. But
yeah, everything's waiting on the Fed. It looks like, Blake.
It is, but I still think that there's going to be some moves between now and then. I do. I actually, I am long the dollar Canadian, and I think if you watch the dollar Canadian and we break back above 129.50, you might get a little bit more of a oomph to the upside. The one thing about the Canadian, we gotta pay really close attention here to NAFTA headlines. Any type of NAFTA headlines, could really be a move for the dollar Canadian, especially given that they're trying to Freeland. I think Freeland, if I'm not mistaken, is going back to Washington, and there's ongoing negotiations. But at the same time, Canada is really trying to dig its heels in, and they may temporarily get left out of the talks. And if so, we could see this dollar Canadian rip a lot higher, as a result. So I think that the dollar Canadian might be one you pay attention to today, and maybe even the peso, because you might see some volatility there as we go into North American trade. But it's going to be it's a little challenging here. I think the euro, while it's above 117.20, you don't want to be too bearish. The cable's a mixed bag. Dollar yen below 112.40, things get a little bit volatile for risk. And that's kind of what I'm paying attention to today.
Before you go, Blake, I wanted to ask you if you thought that euro pound trade, that was a great day trade, was just a one-day wonder, or you think that there could be, it might have been the beginning of something.
Well, first of all, we technically we came out of this descending wedge, so that was that's why I took the trade on the long side. Now I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. I think Brexit's it's a real moving organism. There's so many moving parts, and I'm not 100% sure if things are going to get done or not get done.
Don't worry, Blake. Nobody's going to censor you if you say sit so.
Yeah, right. It is a complete shit show. It is.
It needs a shot in the tushy, like I had a few of those the UK.
Well,
But
well,
anyway, I mean, it looks like, I mean, just to me, that maybe this fear of nothing getting done, it has to be by when? The beginning of November, the end of November? They move the goalposts, but right now, where are they? November?
it's in November, but I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know what the specific date is.
Yeah.
Actually, there's probably a better. I have to go back and look at
Stelios
the notes, and Stelios may know. I don't know. There's got to be a better timeline, but it doesn't. Does the timeline really matter?
Yeah. Well, Greg has showed something today, shared with the team, and it wasn't real bullish, Cable. So anyway, just thought I'd pass that freebie on to the community.
Sounds good. And hey, Dale, I just want to say welcome back. We've missed you. We're glad to have you back. I'm sure your guests that have been pushed off the last couple of weeks are like, thank God Dale's back, so I get the chance to speak on the webinar.
I'm going to work at anyone I had to postpone. I'm going to work into the schedule. So yeah.
Awesome.
All right, Blake. Thank you very much.
Welcome back, and Steve. Good morning, and hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, it was okay.
How you doing, Mr. Discipline?
I'm, I'm trying to be okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had your bad experiences while you were away with doctors, and we're glad to have you back.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I hear you have some pain and discomfort, back type of stuff, right?
Yeah. It wasn't pleasant for sure. I just came from physiotherapy.
Is it sciatica, lower back? What is it? Because I
have two slipped discs actually.
Oh,
and,
okay. Yeah.
And obviously one of them slipped.
It's like the geriatrics call here.
Yeah, it is actually.
Seriously.
I'm a little bit older than Dale.
Oh no, but Blake, I did a shot of Geritol with my coffee this morning.
Oh my God! All right,
that is old, isn't it?
Guys, have a great day.
All right, Steve. So
Dale, do we have an interview today?
Yeah, we do. Blues Crypto is going to be with us. Now, I don't know if I'll ask him about his handle. Not sure if maybe he plays a Stratocaster, Telecaster, and that's why it's Blues Crypto. Or, maybe he sounds a little too sharp to have owned Bitcoin from 18,000. But I'm using the tagline. We're going to see if there are any other ripples across the asset class of what's happening in crypto, because they seem to have a heartbeat again and stabilizing a bit. So
yeah, stabilizing, yes. Having a heartbeat, I think we're far away from saying that for cryptos. I mean, I'm not going to go into crypto since you have a guest, that's going to specifically speaking about that.
Okay,
but,
looking forward to speaking to him. I think he's from Europe.
They've been extremely weak, and having to do with definitions. The vast majority of them are trading more than 80% below the highs, and that's the trading definition of a bubble bursting, right? When something sells off more than 80% from the high, that's considered then by definition a bubble, which I have absolutely no objection with this characterization, since I always believe that they are a bubble. Personally, I'm not sure at all they're going to recover to their old glory, because I still fail to see the value. But I guess, as always, time will tell. Obviously, those that were buying at the very, very beginning before the mania made a killing. There's no question about it. And as always, the vast majority of the people that participated late got slaughtered, as it happens in these cases.
They just want to get even. Oh, please, God, I don't even care if I make money anymore. Can I at least get even?
Yeah.
Even.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it. Okay,
All right,
I know that Blake spoke about the majors, so I'm gonna go straight ahead and unless you have something specific you want me to check, Dale, or we already have some questions. which you can
Yeah.
please forward to
Go
me
ahead,
because
just
I'm on my laptop.
take it away. Take it away. As I've said on Twitter, your coverage of the board every day crystallizes things for me. So go ahead, bro.
Okay. First of all, I got lucky. I got triggered on two of my short positions in the SPX on Friday. Those on the chat room know it. My second just barely got triggered. I had one quarter of a position at 29.32 and another quarter at 29.42. Because I was looking for a pullback in the SPX. We were getting very close to. I had another quarter of a position at 29.47. You can see here why, because it's the 161.8% extension of this little correction. It was also extremely close. It was actually touching on Friday this ascending channel. So we're seeing a pullback now. Do I believe that this pullback, so far has characteristics that can make us believe that there is a new there is some kind of a big reversal? No, absolutely no, not yet. But I got a very good entry, so I'm going to stick with this half of a position I've built so far and see where it takes us from here. Obviously,
would 28.80 do it for you, Steve? We started trading under 28.80, 2900. That gives you a little more confidence.
The first important area of support here is 28.70, in my opinion.
Okay.
Previous high here, it was the low here, and more or less on a daily closing basis, it was the high that we got in the peak of that mania phase in January.
Good point.
So 28.70, in my opinion, key level. There is absolutely nothing bearish with the index unless we at least clear that to the downside. So for me, that's going to be the level that if we get below, I'm going to be like, okay, now we can actually start talking about opening up the downside, right? So yeah, 28.70 first key area. Then I'm monitoring, as you see here, this ascending channel. So obviously every single day this channel's support moves a little bit higher. Currently it's roughly at 28.25, and every day obviously it's going to be moving a little bit higher. So the next level of interest, if we clear 28.70, is that. And then a very key area of support is this 27.90. It acted several times as the resistance until we finally managed to clear it to the upside. It then acted a couple of times as support. So there's no question about it. 27.90 is a place that I bet several positions, stop losses, etc., reside. So those are the three levels to the downside I'm watching, and I think are important. Now, until obviously we start clearing those, I just built half a position already. Why not for a pullback? I might just, scalp this position. If I see that, there is actually no real traction to the downside, I might take, whatever profits I have, like, 10, 15 handles and, call it a trade. Worst case scenario, I'm going to get stopped out at break even, which is, absolutely fine. Now, having to do with the other indices, before we actually switch to other things, I heard Blake mention that NASDAQ is underperforming, and I totally agree with that. I see more corrective characteristics in this rebound that we had in the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ has actually failed to push to new highs. The Dow and the S&P were still moving higher, while NASDAQ was unable to recover to the previous high. I like the level where the NASDAQ got rejected. It was almost at this ascending wedge's resistance, almost at the 161.8% fib extension. And you know very well that you can have like 100% perfection in the markets. I mean, levels are indicative. They are there to give you an idea. It doesn't mean that every single time something is going to be hitting a level, exactly and reversing or whatever. So I like NASDAQ to the downside even more. Now, if the question is, okay, then why didn't you short NASDAQ and you shorted the S&P? Is because I had some very, very clear targets, to the upside, and I thought that it's bound for a snapback. Now, I'm interested to be short NASDAQ in a larger position once we confirm that this was actually one first leg lower, and this is some kind of a consolidation before we move more to the downside. In my opinion, critical level for the NASDAQ is the 74.31 here that you see. And of course, we need to give it a little bit more time to do its thing. Now, having to do with FTSE, very nice recovery from a support area. We're currently retesting triple confluence of resistances, so quite an interesting level here. I mean, this is a previous area that we found two lows, then we retested this as a resistance and it held. The 200 daily moving average is also here, so you know, quite an interesting area. We can perhaps see some kind of a stall or rejection. Now, if we do clear this level to the upside, I think that you know, what happens with the index becomes once again a little bit of a mystery, because it can still end up breaking to the upside, and my main scenario was a bullish one. But I have to be honest, I saw this leg that was extremely strong to the downside, and I was viewing initially this consolidation as a bearish one. I expected one more leg to the downside to take us perhaps towards 7,070, but actually we got like a big recovery, despite having seen just a consolidation initially, which usually is a signal that price is consolidating before resuming in the direction of the previous trend, which was lower. So I have to say that this was, I didn't expect this kind of price action here. I didn't have a position, but you know, it didn't go as I expected. On the other hand, more or less the same applies to the DAX. I mean, we got an initial recovery that looked a little bit weaker. You know, we had said many times that this area is key because it was a horizontal support area and the neckline of a big head and shoulders formation. We started by seeing a weak rebound, and then the rebound accelerated. We're currently testing actually multiple confluence of multiple resistances. You can see here, it's, if I zoom out, you can see it was this ascending trend line support that was actually holding the uptrend for a long time. You can see it here if I zoom out. Yeah, there it is. It's this descending trend line resistance. It's a horizontal area of support resistance. Now we're testing it as resistance, and it's also the 50 DMA, all of those levels, and the 38.2 was a little bit lower. All of those levels reside here at 12,400. So both the FTSE and the DAX at an area of interest. I'm looking to see if we get rejected from here or we push through. Now, if we push through, you know, I'm going to be going back to a more neutral stance. Of course, to turn bullish, for example, in the DAX, I would want to see a break above 12,900 once again, and this descending trend line resistance. Initially, I was thinking that perhaps this is a triangle and we're going to break to the upside, but then we started plunging lower. We held what I said was actually the absolute bull bear line, you know, for the index. We actually held it. So if we slip back below within this, what was a triangle before, I think we have to switch back to neutral and expect to see what's going to happen from here. Now, there's no question that the overall trend since a long time ago has been to the upside. So obviously, if we go back to neutral levels, let's say anywhere between 12,400 and 12,900, you know, as I said, I'm going to be neutral, but the overall bias should be considered to be a bullish one, because you have to respect the long-term trend, right? Now, on the other hand, if we get rejected from here, we go back to 11,800 and we finally break it, then all bets are off the table. I believe that everybody's going to start running for the exits, and we're going to see a huge move to the downside, because this is going to be a very, very significant formation, this head and shoulders formation, which, you know, it's still in play. I mean, we can, if we get rejected from here and we go down there, it's still a perfectly fine head and shoulders formation. So, you know, this is the situation. I'm very, very skeptical having to do with US indices at the moment. The main European indices also currently, as I showed, on resistance. So, you know, we have to be a little bit careful. On the other hand, the one index that has clearly made a move is the Nikkei. We were talking about that and the significance of the 23,000 level. I think it proved to be extremely significant by judging of how it accelerated higher. Once we finally cleared it, it came back, retested it, and then just like exploded to the upside. When we actually broke out, I said that, listen, I believe that one way or another, we're going to at least retest the highs at 24,185. We're almost there now. And, I do believe that we're going to do it. I actually believe that we might actually take out those highs and push even higher from there. So Nikkei, I think, is the one looking better in comparison to any of the other indices. Same deal applies to the USD yen here. I mean, USD yen clearly, I said when we were breaking above this 111.50 area, I said that, listen, I don't see any real resistance up to the previous high at 113.17. And, we're actually roughly 50 pips from there. So I still don't see any significant resistance. I mean, we've cleared the resistance areas like the 61.8, the 78.6. We're currently struggling a little bit with the 88.6, but in all honesty, I don't see why we would stop from here. I mean, you can view this as an ascending wedge, and obviously I wouldn't be buying up here, but as I said, I think that, we will retest this high as Nikkei, we will retest the previous high as well. Now, having to do with metals, for those of you that are watching regularly, I don't have any real update from Friday. I mean, gold is still consolidating. I still believe that there is a decent chance that we're going to see a push higher. I like the fact that it actually didn't break to the downside, despite seeing this irregular and unorthodox price action that we got on Friday. On Friday, for those of you that were monitoring, actually more or less the same time that we got the news about the UK, we got like a huge sell order coming through just before the US session opened on Friday, which, as I said, those moves are suspicious and unorthodox because, very simply put, any person that that has traded the markets or knows how the markets work on an institutional level, if you have like a big sell order, you don't just dump it all in the market, you work it, right? So you say, okay, I want to get rid of this quantity, and you try to do it smoothly over the course of a day or a course of 2 days. Selling like all the quantity at once is something that makes absolutely no sense for the person that's selling.
Maybe it's a central bank, Steve. Maybe Turkey's doing it again. Is the lira starting to look like it might threaten those highs? Because on that big collapse to 1160, there were reports that was Turkey. That day we were down like 30, 40.
On the other hand, we have reports that Central Bank of Russia is stockpiling gold.
Oh yeah,
they have now they're stockpiling gold. But have you seen any days worth of price action that would tell you, this must be a central bank buying a huge quantity of the market? No, right?
No, you don't see that.
Exactly. So let's assign this to price action due to a central bank. Why do central banks buy gold when they do the proper way? They work the order, but they sell like idiots. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
So gold is still consolidating here. Let's have a look at silver. Silver, I can tell you in advance, it's still bumping its head on this horizontal, previous horizontal support area. It has been acting now as a resistance. As I was saying on Friday, I really want to see a daily close above this 1430, 1440 area. If I do see that, I will be expecting more upside to follow. I don't see any real resistance up to 1520. So I think this is going to open quite a nice upside from there. And, this is palladium, which has been a monster. As I said, price action really confirms that this was a huge V-shaped recovery, and probably that indicates that, the whole move lower was simply put a corrective move. So now the question is, what happens from here? The answer is you're hoping for a pullback towards, 1,000 to buy some, because palladium, I said it since we were at the early stage of the recovery, is looking far better than any of the other metals. The point though is not only looking good, is giving you a nice risk reward opportunity, so you can actually buy it, right? Because buying it up here, for example, where would you place your stop loss? It makes no sense. So let's have a look at copper as well, and then we can go through some of the crosses. Copper really, produced a very nice head fake here, trapped that night that we got the announcement about the extra sanctions. I bet trapped some people short, believing, jumping the gun, believing that, okay, the triangle is definitely going to break to the downside in the course of the day, since now we got like more sanction and more tariffs, announced. And oppositely from what the market expected, instead of seeing more negative price action on the course of the day, we actually saw copper getting really bid, breaking through during the same day, breaking through this triangle to the upside. And that's when I said that, listen, if it clears 273, 274, then you should be looking for 294. And I think we're on our way there. So let's have a look at crude, and then we can have a look at a few of the yen pairs. So crude, it keeps on recovering. We finally cleared, at least so far today, this 61.8. I think that the chances that the uptrend has resumed have increased substantially. And you have to consider that as long as we remain above this roughly 70 area of support resistance, the trend is higher, especially if we clear 70 to 70. I think that there's no question, in my opinion, the next target is going to be 76.50. Why 76.50? Because 76.50 is the 61.8 of this large sell-off that we had, the one that started in the summer of 2014 and actually found a low in 2016. So, I kept saying that my medium to long-term outlook is still bullish. I thought that perhaps there is one more leg to the downside, but the chances of that happening have been reduced substantially, as I said, especially if we clear 72, 70, 73. I think 76.50 is the next area to target. Now,
Steve?
Yes, Elio?
Hey, Matt, before you go into the currencies, just one thing I want to mention for this week, which I think is important regarding the euro. We have I think Thursday is the deadline for the Italian budget for next year. And it's quite important because there seems to be a bit of a battle between the finance minister, which is more conservative, and the leaders of the two parties, which are prime ministers. So the Di Maio and what's the other guy's name? Salvini. So they want a bigger deficit. The finance minister wants a smaller deficit. The actual numbers, I think, are quite irrelevant what it comes out as, but we want to see how this power struggle finishes. Who has the power basically on such issues, and I think it's going to be quite important to see what
the market is monitoring that, and it's definitely going to play a role for peripheral bond yields in the eurozone for sure. I mean, it's definitely going to affect Italian bonds, and not only the rest of the periphery, like Spanish, Portuguese, Cypriot bonds, Greek bonds, obviously.
I mean, in the end, it's not going to make a huge difference if the deficit is 1.8% or 2%, but it matters how they how the balance of power.
Because it shows the path forward. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyhow, we're talking about theoretically speaking normal levels of deficit up to 2%, right? So it's nothing exorbitant.
I think it's going to be somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5. So more or less normal.
Yeah, more or less normal. Yes, indeed. Okay. Any other news? Any other thing you're monitoring? For the course of the week. I mean, something that you have set your eyes on.
Just the Fed this week. I mean, obviously we've got the headlines for Brexit coming fast and loose again. I'm not paying that much attention to them anyway. You know, they're becoming less relevant until we actually get something concrete. But the other thing is obviously the Fed on Wednesday expected to hike 25 basis points. And from what I read and speak to people, it seems like everybody expects the Fed to be more aggressive, more hawkish. So the market's pricing September done this Wednesday and one more this year, pretty much, and then 2 or 3 more next year. So, I think it's relatively fair what the market's pricing. But if you ask me what the risk is, I think the risk is for the Fed to under deliver, so to hike less because of all these developments slowly brewing. That's my gut feeling.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, I actually, the only macro part I mentioned on the blog post we did about the Euro USD, although it wasn't my part, but, I wrote a sentence at the end saying that, on the other hand, one more thing that, I keep in mind is the fact that, in my opinion, the Fed is likely to disappoint. As a general rule going forward, and on the other hand, the ECB can actually surprise on the hawkish side. I've been saying that for many months, but for example, in my opinion, there is no space for the ECB to surprise in the dovish side. Not at least taking into account current developments, right? So I strongly believe that if the ECB is to surprise, it's going to be to the hawkish side, and when the time comes for the Fed to surprise, it's going to be to the dovish side. So yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, although a lot of talk, guys, and it's not my bailiwick that Draghi has painted himself into a corner.
Draghi is on his way out. I don't think now that he cares that much on a personal level.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have to worry about him paying his rent this month. He'll be okay.
No, I'm pretty sure that he's going to be okay. I'm pretty sure that he's going to be okay.
All right.
Worst case scenario, we can gather some money here on Face, and send it to him.
All right.
A little charity. Coach, speaking of Euro pound, this is exactly what I had drawn on my chart like a long time ago, as you see.
Yeah.
Because I do consider this breakout from this descending channel, a significant development.
Yeah.
And you don't see, of course, it can happen. I've seen it happen in my experience, but you rarely see daily candles like the one we got on Friday.
That's what I mean.
Getting completely retraced, like they never happened. Right.
It's 38 back
Very
right
rarely.
here, Steve. I've been telling people, you know what? You buy a piece at 38, a piece at halfway, a piece at 61.8, and you're wrong under Friday's low or whatever that was. Yeah, Friday's low. So, you never know how much a market could retrace. But go ahead.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's exactly as you said it. It's a high probability trade to start buying the retracement.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. We've seen that happen, and I don't have the exact statistics, but ballpark from my experience, I would say that at least 2 out of 3 times when you see a candle like this, there is follow through, right?
Because you have people trapped. Because you have people trapped from down there before it happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have people trapped, and once the price actually retraces, they are relieved to get out of their positions with less of a loss.
Today gives them a hope. It was a 1 day. Or today it gives them hope. Oh, it's a 1-day wonder. It's still going lower. Because I've heard myself say these things.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. So anyhow, I do believe that there's more upside here. So I have a decently high conviction having to do with that, and I wanted to mention it because you asked about that, Blake, and I have a decently strong opinion about that. That's why I wanted to show it.
All right, everyone be careful. Steve and I agree on the long side of Euro pound. It doesn't happen.
On the other hand, no, you're not. No, I wouldn't say that's true. So on the other hand, I just wanted to show a little bit, the crosses so you can go to, to your interview.
Okay.
And we've missed your interviews, by the way. So Euro Aussie, so far, the move lower, can easily be corrective in nature. So I'm monitoring this channel. I need to see more price action, but definitely if we see Euro Aussie break above that, then it's definitely going to be a bull flag, and we should be expecting higher prices. Euro Kiwi, quite a strong sell-off, but look at where it's stalled. It's stalled right at this trend line. You can see how important this trend line has been. I mean, the market has tested and retested and retested and retested this trend line several times until we finally broke above it. So, why not test it as support and have it hold? So for the time being, and as long as this holds, I don't think you should be quick in abandoning the bullish outlook yet. Obviously, if you're looking to be short some of those crosses, especially seeing how the crosses look, I think you should be going for the pound crosses. And pound Aussie and pound Kiwi definitely have sold off, in a harder manner. But still, you can see that pound Aussie found support at 179.40, which was previous resistance. So, I keep a close eye to this level. If we hold this level, there is still the potential that we can see more upside, although you can see how much it has underperformed in comparison to the equivalent euro pair. I mean, there we are seeing new highs. In the pound crosses, we did not have new highs, so it's more than clear. And pound Kiwi, this can prove to be like one of the biggest bull traps. Symmetrical triangle took a long time to form and finally break. And once it did, and it actually pushed to new highs, we got this big reversal. For the time being, though, the retest of the broken triangle's resistance is holding as support. So, you have to respect that. There is still the potential for more upside as long as this trend line is holding. But if we break below this trend line, in my opinion, this is going to prove to be one of the biggest bull traps, and we're going to see a lot more downside. So, the bull bear line is definitely this trend line, in my opinion. And once we see what happens with this trend line, we're going to know, if there's more upside or actually a lot more downside, in which case I will be looking to sell the rallies once we do that. Okay. So thank you very much, Dale. As I said before, it's great to have you back with us, and great to have our interviews back.
Okay. Well, thanks, Steve. Great to hear you cover the board and be back with you guys. We really are a family. All right. So here we go. Hello, Blues Crypto. I'm going to make you the presenter. Looking forward to meeting you and seeing your screen and setup. And we had that big pop in Ripple last week. Curious as to what other ripples might be out there hiding underneath a rock. Hiya, Blues.
Hello. How are you?
No, I'm fine. Better this week than the last couple. Very, very nice to meet you. And I have to start here. Why Blues Crypto? Did you top tick the Bitcoin market at 18K, or do you play Fender Stratocaster?
No, wait. You're asking me why I chose Blues Crypto?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, it's so simple because I just happen to be a fan of blues.
Okay.
Chelsea, a football club. So yeah.
Okay. I got it. So why don't you tell? It looks like you have a nice setup here, and I want to talk about Bitcoin and some of the other instruments. But why don't you tell us about your first foray into the business? Was it crypto, or did you start somewhere else? What were you doing before you became a trader?
Yeah, well, actually, I started being interested in trading in 2013.
Okay.
So I traded exclusively Forex.
Okay.
So I didn't start really. I wasn't serious about my trading in the beginning. So I think just like most traders, I just started looking at charts. And at the beginning, I started following other traders. So it wasn't really my setups. And I
Okay.
ended being, I've blown up my 2 first accounts.
Okay.
So
That's not
I
unusual.
I learned a lot. Yeah, I learned a lot. So
Right.
when I started using moving averages. So I started learning about moving averages and candlestick patterns.
Okay.
After that, from mid 2015, I dedicated myself seriously for trading. So I turned that to price action because I like it the most, and it's fairly used lately. So
I see you
yeah,
have kind of a combination of using a couple of fibs and kind of pivot points or supply demand areas,
yeah.
weekly low, daily resistance block, and
I must.
otherwise pretty naked. You trade pretty naked out there.
Yeah, I mostly look for resistance, for support levels, for support and demand, for weekly highs, weekly lows, because there's
Okay.
where the most volume is, where the volatility incurs. Yeah,
What
for
what exchange do you use for trading this instrument, the Bitcoin US dollar perpetual inverse swap contract? Oh, BitMEX, I see.
yeah, BitMEX. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah. Is it?
It's not. It's exclusively you trade with Bitcoin, so
I
you
see.
send your Bitcoin there and you trade with it. So
You
there's no need to do KYC. There's no need to.
okay.
There's no verification.
You
Actually,
feel
it doesn't.
you feel comfortable holding substantial balances at BitMEX?
Well, the good thing is they have a good leverage. They have an up to 100x.
I see.
So
You don't need
yeah,
to have
so
a lot there.
exactly, yeah, exactly. That's why it's good.
Okay.
Other than that, I use Bitfinex. I think it's a bit more famous
Okay.
because it has the other assets like Ripple,
Yes.
Ethereum. It has many altcoins. We call them altcoins. I don't know
Okay.
if you have a good background in crypto or you're mostly Forex guy.
I'm a kind of a neophyte. I mean, a chart is a chart is a chart to me, but it's a
Yeah.
new area I'm educating myself in. That's, call me
Right.
selfish. That's why I bring guys like you in here because I learn from you. You get a little visibility and I learn from you. So let me ask you this. When you're trading, Bitcoin's pretty liquid. Do you trade it with market orders or limit orders?
Okay, so it depends. Most of the time, I'm just a guy that likes to wait for the price action for what happens after it touches a certain level.
And then
So I usually
go at the
enter.
market.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you want to make big orders, you don't have to do that. Yeah. Well, you don't want to do that because the slippage sometimes, especially in BitMEX. Actually, the problem with crypto right now is there are no decent exchanges. Like if you compare it to Forex, you have decent engines. You have very little slippage.
Right.
But with BitMEX, sometimes you get a big slippage. So you don't want to enter $2 million position market.
Yeah, it's like the wild, wild west where the market makers, the exchanges are getting rich on slippage. We call it slippage. They call it profit margin. What do you think? Let me ask you this about this formation. So we're looking at a big triangle. To me, it looks like in Bitcoin, you have that descending line and kind of a flat bottom. And we've had a little, I don't know, Elliott guys might call it an ABC or a three-wave bounce so far off the lows. What's your read on Bitcoin here? Is there a heartbeat or do we need a final capitulation low?
Well, let's start like overall.
Okay.
If we analyze, I just have another chart, so it's more general. Like we have a bear market. We've been in a bear market since January, February. So it's now 8 months. And every time we had a bounce, we just retrace to the magical number, to the 0.68 618.
No.
So it happened 3 times. So far,
Look at
it
that.
happened 3 times. Yeah,
That's interesting. So now
yeah,
you know every instrument kind of has its own personality. So
exactly. Yeah.
you've kind of discovered, and that's a pearl for us here, Blues, is how much Bitcoin respects 61.8.
Yeah, actually, it's quite interesting.
Okay.
The difference this time, the last 2 times, we made, instead of making a lower low, we've made a higher low here, and here too, we just made a higher low,
Subtle.
and we got back again to the zone, to nearly. We didn't touch it this time, but nearly there, nearly retraced to 0.618. So it's quite interesting to see the follow up here, because it's going down again, like exactly like before. But the recent move was stronger. Yeah. So let's get back to the point.
Do you trade both sides of the market, long and short side of Bitcoin?
I'm mostly long.
Why is that?
Because for me the upside momentum is bigger than the downside.
Because
and
you're
especially
long-term biased. Because of your long-term bias. Is that it?
You can say that. I'm biased.
Okay.
I'm bullish on crypto. But not only that, because like if we see exactly the overall picture, the macro picture, we've been in a bear market for 8 months. So the bear case for me is just weakening. We better be not trapped in a short. If there is a change in the trend, and I expect this quarter I expect it to be green. Maybe not the first weeks, but for sure it will be green. Even if you compare to 2014, there was a bubble in 2014. Bitcoin went to 1,000 and then retraced 90%. Even when Bitcoin was going down, we had a surge in altcoins, in the other coins, the other assets. We had a big surge, and it's happening right now. Like we've seen it with Ripple last week.
Right.
It went straight up. It went more than 100%.
Oh, did 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: these moves that happen, I think that some of this stuff kind of reminds me of like bulletin board stocks and pink sheet stocks, and the way those guys would get things to move, and maybe altcoins are like that, is they would pay an investor relations firm a certain amount of money or offer them stock, whether it was free trading or restricted. Does that happen in this universe too, where to bring in buying, people will offer them they're part of their ICO, or if it's already trading.
There's a lot of that.
Okay, and
there are a lot of ICOs. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll guarantee that they're going to bring in a certain amount of buying or volume into it for the paper they get.
They surely don't guarantee returns, but they expect this to happen.
I see.
I've seen a lot of ICOs giving a lot of shares to investors. There are some investors that hold more than 5-10%.
As Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. So I mean, they're basically doing what was done in real illiquid pink and bulletin board stocks for decades. They're doing it here in the crypto universe.
Yeah, they're not changing the game. Yeah.
Okay, and a lot less regulation to deal with to transfer assets back and forth, right?
Yeah, the regulation is another aspect, right? It could be interpreted as bearish or bullish. Depends on how the regulation will be.
How do you keep track of all these different instruments? I mean, even as a Forex trader, I have a hard time, following, more than, a handful, a dozen different pairs. There's just such a huge universe now, especially if you include altcoins. How do you filter out what's worth paying attention to?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, there are a lot of assets, so I restrict myself. Even if I watch like 15, 20 good assets, I restrict myself to not go over 10 assets at a time because it's very hard to monitor after that. The other thing is I happen to have a Discord group where I share with other traders. So usually every trader has 2 or 3 altcoins that he looks for exactly.
Okay, so
And
interesting.
when you see some movement, some interesting movement, like volume coming in,
Right.
or some news in the background, like some announcement coming, it just hit us up. So, and we look at the chart, and there are other interesting things like the money coming in. If you look at exchanges, Korean exchanges or Japanese exchanges, you usually see the flow of the money in the fiat pairs. Like we've seen that with Ripple exactly. We've seen that with Ripple last week.
So a lot of it was conversion of Korean won into Ripple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like last week, most of the volume came from Korea and Japan. It was new money. This didn't happen in a long time. It is last 8 months. It was just money recycled in the market and then going out. There was no inflow of money.
How do you know it was the new money?
Yeah, I don't have the indicator right now. I mostly look at Coinbase. I mostly look at Coinbase volume because it's the major fiat exchange, fiat gateway. I mostly look at fiat gateways to make a comparative.
All right. Well, people will have to get in touch with you after this interview to find out some of the,
sure,
insights that you have. So we may as well go there. So you say you have a community or people that you work with on Discord. Is that kind of like a platform for doing webinars?
It's not webinars, but it's like a chat group.
I see.
It's like a chat group with
it's like a chat
we
room.
Have different channels. Yeah, it was a chat room. We have different channels with we have Bitcoin channels, altcoin channels. There are even on Discord. The good thing in Discord, you have even voice channels. You can just talk and voice with the other people in there. So it's quite good to exchange information and not just keeping yourself in your bubble. So keep you in touch with them, because there's so much going on with crypto that it's impossible to keep track of everything.
Yeah, so there's an advantage of having a community, is what you're saying. I mean, I believe in that. I mean, even in FX, where it's not as there aren't the kind of numbers of instruments that you have to deal with. I may come in and see nothing, and someone in my community will point something out that'll be compelling to me. And if I wasn't in a community, I never would have known. So you have a lot of eyeballs working together in your community.
Yeah,
what's the best way for guys that want to, do some more crypto trading to reach you? Would it be through Twitter, or do you have a website, or any kind of business model you want to share with us now?
If you want to start with crypto, the fastest way, there are many groups. But you also have some Twitter.
Well, I want to be in your group. How do I do that?
Yeah,
I don't want to be in many. I want to be in Blues Crypto's group.
Yeah. Well, the group I'm in is actually a paid group.
Okay.
But, well, I'm not the one. I'm not the one that's monitoring it, but.
Okay. You're just a member.
Group, yeah.
You're a member of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't have to promote him. When you get yours going, we'll promote you. But go ahead, show it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well. Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay. Blues Crypto. There's your. This is what, your Twitter page? No.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right.
So
I'm following you now.
Yeah. This one. Yeah. This is the group. Actually, it's the Crypto.pound. which is a nice group. It's a nice community. Yeah, it's a nice community. To be honest,
How many-
it's a nice community.
How many people are in there?
Well, active users are between 20 and 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crypto.
And you have hundreds of people.
I like dogs more than people. How about you?
Sorry, I didn't
I like dogs more than people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
aren't they
you know
nice?
what they say? Dogs are loyal.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
if you're gonna be, they say that to the president. That when you're in Washington, if you want a friend, get a dog. So. Go ahead.
Just a piece, just a piece of what you can find in Twitter that is really valuable. There is a lot of noise, of course, but
right.
There's also a lot of information, a lot of good things to find. Like there's a thread about about how CZ. I don't know if you heard of Binance.
Yeah.
Binance,
it's an exchange, right?
It's actually the exchange with the most volume on crypto right now.
Okay.
Yeah. If we look at exchanges, so yeah.
I see it. Number one.
Yeah. Number one. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you look at this trade, there are a lot of rumors that he's trying to liquidate his assets because they happen to have a coin that's powering the exchange. The coin serves, when you have the coin, when you own the coin and you pay the fees with the coin, you get a discount of 50%. So it's quite useful when you trade there. Or instead of paying 0.1%, you pay 0.05 with while holding the coin. So it's kept its value. It was the only asset. It was the only crypto asset that didn't have a negative result in 2018.
Wow.
But,
okay.
Quite. Yeah. It's quite impressive. But apparently the real reason was that he was the CEO of Binance was the person that was keeping the price up. And he has a lot of bots that operate in his exchange.
Wow.
In another manner than there is some shady stuff going on.
These guys need to write a book, how to master market manipulation, how to distribute at the highs and accumulate at the lows.
It's incredible, actually. It's incredible.
Hey, look, there's space. Anyway, Blue, it was really a pleasure meeting you, and I encourage people at least to, get your Twitter handle at Blues Crypto. And I learned quite a few things from you today, especially to be watching what's happening out of Asia with the Korean won and the yen. They seem to be the most heaviest adopters of this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you agree? It's mainly out
of.
Yeah,
exactly.
Why do you think it is out of Korea? I mean, their economy is starting to slow down a bit. Why do you think it's on? Go ahead.
I think it's more culture related stuff.
Yeah, they don't trust.
They're more to technology than other populations. If you compare them.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time, and hope you had some fun, and you're definitely informative about something that still is pretty overwhelming to me. So would you tell people to take their time delving into crypto and
exactly.
People do and trade very small. Don't use a lot of leverage.
If you want to start crypto, you need to get the maximum information for at least 2 months. Like you need to brainstorm. You need to brainstorm before investing. And even if you invest, even if you plan to invest in a 5 years plan or 2 years plan, you need to keep track of the whole market, of the market as a whole, because the market cycles move very fast compared to the other markets.
How much faster would you say than FX? How much faster? Because right now it doesn't seem because you know, I only look at Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin. I don't look at a ton of them, but you think that the cycles are faster than even FX?
Yeah, well,
You would know.
FX, it's more about swings.
Okay.
It's more about swings than market cycles. I see
Okay.
FX mostly as swings, but if you compare, for example, to all the markets, like with the dot-com bubble,
Yes.
it's we've waited for 8 years to recover from the bubble. Well,
Okay.
when you see Bitcoin, we've had a lot of bubbles. We've had the 100 bubble, the 1,000, and now the 20,000.
But instead of, okay, I see what you're saying. So instead of 8 years or 8 months.
Exactly, yeah. We have a shorter time. We have shorter term. We have short time before the price goes in and tap the all-time high gain.
People
so
have
it
shorter,
recovers pretty fast.
People have shorter term memories in crypto.
Yeah, sure.
They forget faster. Well, thank you very much, Blues, for
thank you for having me. Thank you for
hanging out with me, and it was really a pleasure meeting you. And like it or not, you're my trading warrior brother, buddy.
Me too. Thanks.
All right. Everyone, thank Blues Crypto. You can follow him at Blues Crypto. I can tell from talking to him for just 25 minutes that you can learn plenty. If that's
you can ask me. You can DM me questions. You can ask me questions, even if.
Yeah. There you go.
Just send me a question.
So this Blues is a resource that can send you to other resources. So definitely, you were a gem that I found on Twitter. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right,
Have
everyone.
A good day.
Thank you. Okay, Faith, that's it. See everyone for Turnaround Tuesday. Great to be back. Let's kill it this fall. And remember, you only have a week left to get the deal from Forex Analytics, the discount, the once-a-year discount. And if you're not happy with your broker, get a hold of Forest Park. See everyone tomorrow. Good hunting. And don't forget, because I haven't forgotten, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. I count being here today as one. I'll see everyone tomorrow for Turnaround Tuesday. Adios. Thanks again, Blues.